Langcode structure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at langcogroup.com.au. Langco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years, but not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
Hello, welcome along to another episode of Twilight Football here on FNR, Football Nation Radio. And, you know, I say I'm Josh Parrish, but you don't really know, do you? Like, I could be anybody. I'm calling myself Josh Parrish. The man with me, we know, is named Nick DeBarno because he's got a verified check next to his name on Twitter. Welcome. Yeah. The Blue Check Elite is joining us today on Twilight Football. Nick, congratulations.
Thank you, I guess. You know, I sort of, if you know about going about the process, you kind of just go on a whim and say, all right, let's see if I can actually get it. And I decided to have a crack. And then I woke up on Monday and I was like, as shocked as probably anyone would be. So if you follow me on Twitter and you saw the picture of from the Johnny English movie of Rowan Atkinson wearing a crown, that's literally how I feel with a verified tick, because it just doesn't fit. So I'll take it. I mean, it's a bonus, but yeah, it's a bit of an awkward fit, but you know, it's a nice little surprise in lockdown.
Well, speaking of crowning achievements, Nick, we've got a crowning achievement for Sam Kerr coming up tomorrow morning, and that is her 100th Matildas appearance, which for a player as young as Sam Kerr and a player who didn't really hit, you know, her peak as a professional and a goal scorer until quite a few years into her career is an absolutely phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always interesting with women's football how young players before like 25 have played over 80 caps or whatever else because of how young they sort of get into the system. I think Ali Carpenter's played close to 100 as well, and she's about 23.
Emily Van Egmond hit that milestone pretty recently as well. So this group of players has really matured together. I mean, 100 caps in women's football, you know, it seems to be more achievable based on, you know, the number of players who actually get there. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe there's more international games, or maybe, you know, the players in those teams tend to have more longevity. It's interesting, but certainly as captain of the squad now, she's also 3 goals away of becoming Australian football's all-time international leading goal scorer.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing how good Sam Kerr is, you know, you wouldn't put it past her.
Oh, she'll get there.
You know, put it past her to score 3. Maybe even tomorrow. I don't want to disrespect Ireland too much. But you know, look, it's a great achievement. It's going to be another good test for Tony Gustafsson and the squad tomorrow. Obviously, it's the start of the next cycle that we'll see it obviously eventuate here in Australia and New Zealand for the Women's World Cup in 2 years' time. He said a couple of weeks ago that this is a period where he wants to sort of, I guess, get new blood in and start to give some new players opportunity. This is not their best team that he's put out tomorrow either. You know, no Caitlin Ford, no Ali Carpenter among some of those players. A lot of new faces. If you go through the squad, you know, Angie Beard, saw how good she was in the W League last season's Melbourne Victory. Charlotte Grant, Winona Heatley. We've got Jamila Rankin, Remy Simpson, Claire Wheeler. So a lot of players who could play their first game and a lot of other players who've only played just a handful. So it'll be good to see some new faces. I guess that's the main thing. And a lot of defenders too, Josh. I think that's the one thing that definitely needs to be addressed. They have shipped a lot of goals, not just in the Olympics, but before that, And they need to sort that out. I think we want to get to a point where we can have Steph Catley and Ali Carpenter not playing as centre-backs, but actually playing further up the field and using their best traits.
And not playing holding midfielders at centre-half either.
No.
Let's talk about some of those debutants. Who do you think is most likely to see the field and most likely to go on and establish themselves as a recurrent member of the squad out of the players you named?
I really think Angie Beard's the one to look out for, because being a defender as well, and she was easily one of the best players in the W League last season. W League championship winning captain for Melbourne's victory, and obviously got the move overseas. And considering, as we did say, how I guess lacking the defensive depth is right now, and we know Claire Polkinghorn's not getting any younger. Alana Kennedy's a mainstay down there, but they need more centre-backs. They need more players down there. And if she does impress, you put in a couple good games in this period, you put yourself right in the sort of the forefront to not even just be in the squad, but to really establish yourself as a player that could, play in the starting 11 on most games.
Interesting to see the representation from Scandinavian clubs, in particular Fortuna Hjøring, who has no less than 3 players, including potential debutants Angie Beard, and Claire Wheeler is probably the other one who I'd be really excited about. She's a midfielder. She had an outstanding W League campaign last season. I'm sure any W League fans will be very familiar with her work. But she is someone I'd like to see in the picture, because I don't think the Matildas midfield has been operating as it should. We haven't had enough passing options presenting in there. It's just been, depending on who you talk to, either a cascading impact of the players at the back switching around so often and not having consistent positions, and that being an issue why we can't get the ball into midfield, and sometimes midfielders having to play in defence, or potentially it's a more serious issue of the parts not quite fitting together and the talent in that level of the park not being where it should be. Whether that's because some players have been left out, whether that's because Katrina Gorry's had a baby, it depends who you talk to. But I'm looking to see a midfielder in the Matildas look to really boss a game and present for the ball, get a foot on the ball, and turn and create. We just haven't had enough of that. And I think it's unfair to put, the pressure on Emily Van Egmon's shoulders every single time, because we know she's probably more useful higher up the park. So I'd like to see someone stake a claim for those 6 and 8 positions.
Yeah, and also, I guess a good sort of sign was Elise Cullen-Knight was in the camp. She's not playing, but she was in the camp. It's good to see she's starting to work her way back. I swear the second you mentioned Katrina Gorry, Josh, I looked outside my window, and even though it's not dark yet, I saw a slight sort of flash in the sky of the bucket hat signal, permeating from the west. So I think that it'll be good to hopefully get her back whenever that might be, whenever she's obviously ready to, because she's a massive part of that team, and they certainly are a lot better when she's in there. But as you did say, it's a great opportunity, not just for defenders, but midfielders to really stake their claim. So it's going to be an intriguing watch tomorrow. I really hope that they're able not only just to get some fresh faces out there, but get a result, because as much as we got to the bronze medal game, we haven't won a lot of games, Josh. And in 90 minutes, I think that the New Zealand group stage game was the only game in 90 minutes that they've won under Tony Gustafsson. I think that he'd want to get some results on the board as well, because, there's obviously ambition in this team to really push the best sides in the world. And, this is a good chance to really get it started. It's a good chance against a team like Ireland. So I'm really excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, Ireland are not one of the best teams in the world. They're a nation in women's football that's really had to scrap and claw for any kind of resources or support out of the FAI. That has been a real black mark on the FAI in a time where there's been a lot of scandals in that particular football administration. So they're not lacking in talent, but they have not had the support from their governing body. That has lent itself to a kind of siege mentality among this group. I was doing a bit of reading into, the kind of training conditions that they've had to put up with, and I think it's bonded them as a squad. So tough as nails is how I would describe this Ireland side. I'm not sure if they've got the talent level out. You would be expecting Matildas win. I would like to see a little bit more ambition in terms of the possession play and building up from the back, and not quite as direct as the football we saw at the Olympics. So we'll see now, what kind of coach Tony Gustafsson really is, because he's had that really kind of turbulent transitional phase where he couldn't get a training camp together properly, and the players barely played together for ages because of COVID international travel restrictions. And now he's at a tournament with them, which he had to cobble together pretty fast. Now's the time where I want to see something seriously start building for 2023. So this is when the spotlight should really be on, and there's no more excuses, I would say. But I'm glad so many new players are being given a go.
Yeah, same. And I think the one thing I really want to see too is he mentioned how he wants to sort of close up how they defend in transition, because they leave these massive wide gaps when teams play through the lines. I really hope they've worked on that. I know that Ireland aren't Team GB, they're not the USA, they're not Sweden, but at the same time, you want to see at least you want to see some of those signs that at least they can play against teams who are going to hit on the counter-attack or hit them quickly and with pace. So, look, that's sort of the one thing, and definitely, as you said, I'd like to see them get the midfielders on the ball, Josh. Not necessarily always being so wanting to get down the flanks. Use the middle. Get the ball into sort of the midfield and look to try and create. Show a bit of a plan B as well to a plan A.
Yeah, sure. All right, before we go to our special guest, new Western United midfielder Neil Kilkenny, we've got some FFA Cup action coming up. Tonight's game is one involving a team from the Northern Territory coming up against the storied NPL Queensland outfit Lions FC. Casuarina are not a powerhouse in the NT. They're one of the top sides, but they're not Hellenic Athletic, the team we're used to seeing at this stage of the competition. There is only one team that advances from the Northern Territory to the FFA Cup national stage, so they did have to beat Hellenic Athletic to get here, and they did so in what they called on the live stream the FFA Cup final, which I found very amusing, but that's great stuff. I think Queensland Lions will have far too much for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at sort of their form for Queensland Lions. They haven't lost in 7. They've won all 7 of their last 7 games. Then they've been in quite a good run. We know they're not the top 3 right now, but only 5 points behind Peninsula, who've played 2 less games. It's still another really solid season for them. As you mentioned, Casuarina, not the best team in the NT. So I don't think this should be really too much of a problem for Lions FC to get the job done. We saw last week that a bit of a not really too much of a test from Edge Hill against Gold Coast in sort of that minnow versus sort of big boys matchup. But this will be another intriguing watch. It always is good seeing which sort of players from the top echelon NPL clubs really put their front foot forward. Is there anyone from Lions FC on your radar, Josh? They're the second best attack in NPL Queensland behind the Brisbane Roar Academy. Is there someone that maybe you have scoped out in sort of keeping an eye on these guys throughout the past?
Well, I would say they're on a good run of form as a team. They had a rough start to the campaign, but they've won 7 on the trot in a record that stretches back to July. And the goals are pretty spread throughout the side. It's not a situation where there's one Andy Pengelly, scoring everything. Is there anyone who's stuck out to you, Nick?
Not really either,
Not
Josh.
Particularly? All right, we'll have to wait and see tonight then. We'll be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is that individual talent that really sticks out and makes a name for themselves. That's what's exciting about the FFA Cup. But yeah, they do score a lot of goals. I think it's going to be relatively comfortable for them tonight, given they are playing at home. But Nick, we better leave it there, because waiting for us on the other side of this break is a man who's returned to Melbourne, maybe with a point to prove after the manner in which he left. It's Neil Kilkenny, new Western United midfielder, joining from Perth Glory after establishing himself as one of the top midfield playmakers in the competition. He's joining us on the other side of this break.
To change your destiny in life, be your own boss, start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years, but not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
We're back here on Twilight Football and FNR Football Nation Radio. Josh and Nick here with you. And joining us now is a man who's established himself as one of the premier midfielders in the A-League. He's come back to Melbourne and signed with Western United. Neil Kilkenny, welcome back to FNR.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
We're doing well, mate. It's great to have you. Tell us, first of all, Western United, how did the move eventuate and what's attracted you to the club?
I obviously spoke to them a couple of months ago, the club, and obviously John Aloisi and Hayden Fox have gone in there and, want to try and be successful, and I wanted to be part of that, had a couple of other clubs interested, but, working with Hayden Fox was a big pull, and obviously John Aloisi, knowing what a great guy he is, and I know that he's a good manager, so I'm really looking forward to working with them.
And I guess, how's life been so far at Western United? I know that obviously down here in Melbourne, it hasn't been necessarily ideal with the lockdowns, etc. But how have you found the transition into life here?
It's been hard, obviously, being in lockdown, being away from my family since I've moved here. But to be honest, I've been looking forward to going into training every day, which is fantastic. The organisation, the structure of the team is brilliant, and we've been working hard on that, and obviously our fitness at the same time. So it's I'm really looking forward to the season. I've really enjoyed training so far and getting to know the boys at the club, and they've been fantastic, hungry to succeed, and they've got a manager and a coach that hopefully will guide us in the right direction.
Who's been the dressing room leaders who've welcomed you in? Are there any initiations or anyone who's introduced you to everyone? Big personalities in the dressing room?
Not really, no. Everyone's been welcoming, obviously knowing a couple of players, most of them playing against them, so going in a football club, it's a quick transition. You get out on the pitch and you have to work hard, and we're all in it to push forward and hopefully take this club to be successful, and that's the aim for the season.
And Neil, obviously I think you might have crossed paths with John as a player when you were sort of starting with the Socceroos and he was coming towards the end. What's that dynamic been like, sort of gone from playing with him but now to playing under him?
Obviously I was very young then. I've had the same through a couple of times in my career, playing against managers, and then obviously playing against players and then becoming my manager. The same situation was with my old manager at Perth, Tony Popovich, and he's a fantastic guy. Knows what he wants. Very secure in himself, which is fantastic. And like I said, he's obviously got an assistant that's got an incredible experience as well. He's a very good coach. So I'm really looking forward to the season, being in a very organised team, and hopefully we can push on and, like I said, be successful.
You mentioned Hayden Fox there. What is it about working with him that's such a big draw? What does he provide? Is it the way he runs training sessions? Is it the tactical insight he brings, his experience as a player?
Organisation, little details, as maybe a fan or things like that. Even as a player, sometimes you wouldn't look into certain things, body shape and things like that, but it makes a massive thing. And you see the top managers in the world. You see Pep Guardiola always going on about little things that go on in the pictures of, body shape of players and like that. And as well, he's a fantastic manager as well. I'm really looking forward to the season, like I said.
Well, you've had your first hit out. You played against your former club, Melbourne City, I think now 2 weeks ago. How was that? How did that sort of eventuate for you, and how did you feel sort of pulling up from that?
Yeah, it was really good. It was a good run out, good fitness. Showed what we need to work on, showed what we need to improve on, and they're a good team. We obviously we only play 45 minutes. Every player played 45 minutes to get the fitness in the bank, and that's what pre-season is about. So it was everyone, like I said, I only played the first half, but it was a really good hit out.
Now, I'm sure it was largely football reasons that attracted you to Western United, but I got to say, based on the kits we've seen so far, I reckon you guys might be the best dressed as well. I see you're rocking the new Kappa Polo there. The home and away kits came out very recently. So is that something that the players talk about, the kits and so forth, or is it just only fans that care about that stuff?
We'll have like a little discussion, obviously, in the change room, maybe have a laugh, or and say, "Oh, that's nice." But at the end of the day, you always look nice if you're performing well. So, we want to perform well, and we're really looking forward to the season starting. Hopefully, when the fixtures come out, it will be something to look forward to.
And what are some of your goals and ambitions for your time here at Western United, Neil? Obviously, they missed finals last season, but first season very successful. What are sort of some of the goals and ambitions for yourself?
Personal, as a team, win every game as much as we go into every game trying to win. At the end of the day, you play to win things. It's going to be hard. We know that there's some fantastic teams in the league, but we're a good team as well. So, at the end of the day, we're going to go into every game trying to win every game and see where that takes us. And like I said, I think we've got a couple more signings to come in, maybe. Obviously, with the squad that we've got a few young players. We've got people that want to succeed as young players, and we've got a few older, experienced players that want to succeed and want to do as well as they can. And hopefully, that blend of youth and experience will go a long way.
Now, there are quite a few promising youngsters in the Western United squad you just mentioned. Anyone in particular stood out looking really sharp in pre-season?
I don't want to. I don't like to pick out any individuals. It's hard, it's hard. But at the same time, we want them to succeed. We want them to be as successful as possible as a club, and even me as an individual and experienced player. It's fantastic to play with players that, when they, you see them go on to succeed and improve every day and every season. I've played with some fantastic young players over my career to go on and succeed. And I think there's quite a few young players here at Western United. Like I said, if they keep their heads, they listen, they learn, and, they'll go on and have fantastic careers, hopefully in the A-League at Western United and hopefully abroad as well, and maybe for the Socceroos.
And I guess one of the exciting parts about coming back here is 2 sort of derbies against Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. Is that something as well that you're really looking forward to when the fixture drops?
Yeah, it's like I said, I love playing football, and it's, I'm so passionate about playing football and winning games. I know it's going to be hard. We've got, we're sort of seeing, we've got two very good other clubs in Melbourne. So, but yeah, there'll be great atmospheres. Looking forward to playing in them against them, and like I said, hopefully we can come out on top and get the results that we need.
Now, I think something that anybody would notice when they watch you play is you are very vocal out there on the field. You are a bit of a general in midfield, and you'll definitely be encouraging your teammates, but also if someone's doing the wrong thing, you're not going to hesitate in terms of telling them about it. Is that something that John Aloisi's talked to you about wanting to bring you on board for that reason?
I want to push people. I want to push people to their limits and push myself and people around me to succeed. That's what it's all about. I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. So, so it's hopefully players realize that I just want the best for them and the team. And like I said, if you're secure in yourself, you'll take that as you'll be comfortable with that. If you're not secure, you'll see it as a negative, and that's the way it is. At the end of the day, I want to perform and try and win things, and I've done that through my career, and hopefully I can continue that here at Western United.
Now,
yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask some questions about your time in England, especially with the Premier League coming back now. Who are you supporting if you're watching a Premier League game? Because I know you grew up an Arsenal supporter and came through the Arsenal Academy for a couple of years, but also you had that really successful spell at Leeds United as well. So is there a particular club that has your affections these days?
When I was a kid, I used to support Arsenal. Obviously, the more I've obviously become professional and stuff like that, I look out for a lot of my old clubs, and I support really good football. Ever since when I played there for clubs, and managers and clubs used to come out and say and pundits used to come out and say you can't play a certain way in England to be successful, and I used to do my head in. So I love it that now Guardiola's come into the English Premier League and showed that you can play pure football and win things and succeed, and it's changed the mindset of the English public, the pundits, the clubs. And I think, if I'm honest, I think he's had the biggest impact on English football that any other manager has in the world ever, because of the way that he wants the game to be played. And there was always this thought that you can't play really good football in England, and it's too quick, it's too physical, but he showed it. So I support really good football. So obviously, I love the way that Leeds play. I support them. I would say I look out for their results because I played for them. When I was there, we were probably unlucky. I feel that my last season there, we probably had the team really to push for promotion. And if I look at it now, we had a really good team, and a lot of them players went on to play in the Premier League. So I definitely look out for Leeds as a club for their results.
And how great is it to see Leeds back in the Premier League, Neil? Obviously, when you got there, it would have been a bit of a difficult time for the club when they were in League One. But I guess now seeing them back up there and performing at the highest level, do you sort of feel that sense of pride for them as well?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, they were a big club. I knew they were a big club, but when you actually play for them, you realise how big they are. It's fantastic to see such a fantastic supporter base and club be back in the Premier League. They deserve to be in the Premier League. And, I take immense pride to, know that I played for the club and represented the club over 100 times and was part of them pushing back into the Premier League. And I'm so happy to see the club back there.
And one of your teammates during that spell was Paddy Kisnorbo, who's another one of the intercity rivals, former teammate turned coach that you'll be coming up against. I look back on any footage of that time at Leeds with the two Aussies there, and I just see Paddy always bleeding from his head somehow. There always seemed to be a bandage involved. So it was a combative outfit. It was a very good side to watch. And as you say, probably unlucky that you didn't quite get up to the Premier League at that point.
Yeah, I felt that we probably had, a good enough team to push on and push for promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. I think the squad probably wasn't as strong in depth that we needed, especially with the amount of games that you do play in the Championship. So, but yeah, it was a fantastic time. Like I said, I still speak to Paddy now, get on with him really well, and it's fantastic to see him doing so well as a coach and manager. And like I said, I seen him last week and we had a good chat. And we still have a good laugh. So it's fantastic to see that he's doing well.
So you've spoken about your love for beautiful football and expansive attacking football. Is that something you feel is shared by Western United and by the coaching staff you're working under this season? Yeah, no, definitely. We want to play football the right way. Obviously, I had a hugely successful time at Perth Glory when I was there. Playing some really good football, helping Perth be successful in the A-League for the first time. And obviously Foxy has come to Western United and brought similar ideas to try and play that similar way. So hopefully we can perform that way and play really good football and, like I said, win at the same time. That's all from me, Nick. Any more from you, mate?
All done. Neil, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Looking forward to seeing you on the park, and hopefully it's not too far away. Thanks very much. Looking forward to it, and thanks for having me, guys.
All right, we'll take a short break. On the other side, we'll wrap up the weekend in European football. We've got Nick's AC Milan Juve review. I'm going to talk about players being subbed on to take penalties. That's all coming up on the other side of this break here on Twilight Football. Neil, thanks so much for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
Change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Since 1998, Lanco Group has been providing superior civil engineering solutions and advice to developers, local government and service authorities across Australia. Lanco Group is known for delivering sustainable, efficient solutions. By working closely with clients, Lanco Group is able to meet the complex infrastructure requirements for residential, commercial and industrial developments on time, on budget. Find out more at lancogroup.com.au. Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years, but not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
here on Twilight Football, FNR Football Nation Radio. Make sure you get your questions through in the chat. We just spoke to Neil Kilkenny from Western United. That interview will be up on the podcast platforms before long. Nick, it's time to turn our focus abroad and talk European football. We'll start with Serie A, where Juve dropped points again. AC Milan grabbed a draw thanks to another big goal from big game Ante Rebic, our favourite. He's had mixed reviews from us over the years, but he seems to come up when it matters.
He's the most if enigmatic footballer could be described in the dictionary, I think that is Ante Rebic to an absolute T. It was a weird game. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday was a very, very weird game. Juve came out like a house on fire. They caught Milan on one blistering counter-attack. Alvaro Morata's very, very nice finish, I must say, and really just caught everyone off guard. And I was a bit worried at that point. I thought, given Milan's absentees with no Zlatan, no Giroud, no Calabria at right back, Kier going down, it looked a little bit ominous, I'm not going to lie, and Juventus were peppering the Milan team. But there's something about this Milan team and resolve. We're just about staying in games, and you leave them in the game for too long. As Liverpool learned, they were lucky enough to sort of win the game. You leave them in the game for too long, they find a way to eke a result or to get back into it. Because as I've spoken about before, Stefano Pioli's weird ability to motivate teams, it just shines through. There's a lot of heart in this team. Makes up for probably I wouldn't say that their quality lacks in all areas, but I mean, it's sort of masked that they've just got this innate ability to rise when it matters. And in the second half, it was all Milan. Tomori moved into centre back, Kier went off. They brought on young Kalulu at right back, and things just opened up. Benacer midfield coming on for Kessie really changed everything. And Ante Rebic, who had barely touched the ball before scoring that goal, got in the right place at the right time to score. And I must say, the one thing I love about Rebic is he never celebrates. He's always got his hands up like this. But the second that anyone else will score, he's the first guy just running at the other guy, going absolutely nuts. So he's got that Mario Balotelli, if a postman doesn't celebrate when they drop off a letter kind of mentality. But if you saw that there was this play when Milan were attacking and Rebic copped this knock off the ball, and Milan are building, there's an opportunity to get a ball in the box, but Rebic is lying on his back, hoping the ball gets played out. But little does he know that Milan have an opportunity to create, and that was only minutes before he scored. So that's the duality of Ante Rebic, as a friend of ours describes. But at the end of the day, it was a good result. I'll take the point. Juventus, on the other hand, there's concerns. There are a lot of concerns about this team. I think that
what is going on with Juve? Because it can't just be the Ronaldo power vacuum.
No, they can't Death Star it anymore. They can't just get a goal and eke out wins when not playing well anymore.
Because that was the hallmark of the Allegri reign, was eking out results when they didn't necessarily deserve them, and it doesn't seem to happen for them anymore. Do you have any theories as to why that is?
I just think teams have gotten better, Josh. I think teams have been able to work them out. I think at fullback as well, they've got a lot of problems. I still think that they're very weak down those fullbacks, especially because they still start Juan Cuadrado or Danilo down that side. They're very easy to exploit in that manner. In midfield, I still think next to Locatelli, they're still very, very weak. And we saw it yesterday. Sandro Tonali was fantastic against Locatelli and Bentancur. They're playing Adrian Rabiot out wide, which I think is really strange. I know Chiesa was coming back from injury, but it just doesn't suit. The game really opened up in the second half. And I was surprised how long they took to bring on someone like Chiesa or Dejan Kulusevski, who thrives in chaos and looks to get at fullbacks. There's something that's just not clicking right now. And I don't know if it's necessarily entirely a personnel thing with the Ronaldo. I know I've heard Gab Marcotti mentioned it, saying they didn't get a chance to replace Ronaldo, but up top, that's where their strengths are. Morata and Dybala are a very good partnership up top, and they thrive. It's actually pretty scary when you see them two going at full flight, how much damage they can do. But I just have problems with their midfield composition and in goals as well. Wojciech Szczesny, I think that the experiment with him, or if you want to call it like that, or the run of Szczesny in goals, I don't think he's as good as maybe we all thought he was. The Bonucci-Chiellini partnership in the league, I think it's nothing like it is at an international level. It's very weird how when they wear the Bianconeri, they are so different compared to when they're wearing the Azzurri. Like, it's this almost complete difference. And Matty de Ligt's on the bench. We don't know if he's sticking around. Mino Raiola's shopping him around. I think there's a lot of uncertainty at Juventus at the moment. I think a lot of people thought Allegri was just going to come and fix it. And right now, you have 2 points from 12. That's concerning because teams around them, like Napoli this morning, they're looking fantastic. Inter are still getting results. Milan are getting results. I know Roma dropped points on the weekend, and they've still been able to find results. And the teams around them are getting better. They're finding a way to get results. Juve, on the other hand, are just starting to fall behind. And I don't know if it takes too long for Allegri to finally work it out how far behind the 8 ball they'll be at that point, because I don't want to fall too far behind, because that gap, it's, I think, about 10 points, and it's not going to be an easy gap to make up, despite there still being 34 games left on the calendar.
The amusingly named Victor Moses Lawns has come through on Twitch. He says, Juve are finished, and he adds, Allegri is comfortable playing for the draw these days, e.g. versus Napoli, haven't got the same mentality as the Juve of old. Can I offer my unqualified Serie A opinion on how to fix Juventus?
Yeah.
Let's not reinvent the wheel here. Back to the 3-5-2, baby.
Yeah, honestly, it would work.
De Ligt back into the starting lineup alongside Bonucci and Chiellini. If you don't want to play De Ligt, you can maybe move Danilo in as one at like the third centre back. A la kind of Kyle Walker for England. When you got that recovery pace to maybe cover for Chiellini and Bonucci. You don't like that solution as much, I know. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Pack the midfield with Bentancur just sit in front of the back line. Just do what you're good at, shielding, recycling possession.
Yeah.
Bring in Aaron Ramsey into the starting 11 and have him and Locatelli just spam third-man runs from midfield. 2 wing-backs, third-man runs from midfield. Dybala and Morata do your stuff up top.
Yeah, you chuck Quadrado and Alexandro out in the wing-backs. I think that really works. But my concern, Josh,
or Chiesa at wing-back, a la Fiorentina.
Chiesa, yeah, and it worked. It was
pretty good
really
at Fiorentina.
Well. Yeah, and dare I say it, I know that I might get crucified for this opinion. I have my thoughts about Bernardeschi, but at Fiorentina, he played as a wing-back as well, and he was okay. So that's another option too. Yeah, he actually wasn't terrible.
I can't imagine that. Something about his haircut and his mentality doesn't scream wing-back to me.
Well, look, I think that the tough thing is, though, they've lost a lot of depth. So to play a back three with Champions League is tough, because Chiellini's 37. They don't have Mehdi Demiral anymore. Their only other centre-back is Daniele Rugani, who has not progressed in the way they'd hope. I still think out wide they're very much lacking. Mattia Di Silio, Luca Pellegrini are not the players that they want to be bringing in. Alexandro, I think, still not too bad, but I still think the Aaron Ramsey thing, it's a curious case of Aaron Ramsey, because I think he's got a lot of quality. But for some reason, he just gets shunned. They've tried Bernardeschi in midfield.
Is it because he doesn't speak Italian?
Well, I think he speaks better Italian than Cristiano Ronaldo did during his time there. But also,
that's different.
Yeah, but also as well, Moise Kean, I think, could definitely be an option for him too, if they wanted to even go 3-4-1-2, if they wanted to
play Dybala in the hole.
Yeah, that could work. I think
right,
Moise Kean could work. So there's options, but whether Allegri changes it, I'm still not too sure. But they need to get to work in January as well. I think that's going to be really important. But they've got to rescue something in the next few months. Otherwise, you're just going to see Napoli get points. You're going to see Milan and Inter improve as well. And I fear for Juventus. I genuinely do.
Well, we saw Napoli comfortably dispatch Udinese 4-0 this morning. So they're in good nick. The other surprise of the weekend, though, aside from, Juve continuing to falter, was Verona 3, Roma 2. Can you tell me about Verona and if they're legit this season? Because they've been a bit of a mean team in the past.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were very good for the past few seasons with Ivan Juric in charge. Then he went to Torino and they brought in Eusebio Di Francesco. And Di Francesco's finished at Serie A level, may I just say. That it's over for him now. Like, the only way he's going to coach in this league, I remember Ante Jukic and I said it in the preview pod, the only other way he'd make it would be he had to go back to Serie B and get a team promoted. To get sacked after 3 games like that is really, really such a big fall from grace from where he took Roma to a Champions League semi-final only 3 years ago. And he just hasn't been able to rediscover that magic or just been able to get a team sort of functioning. And they brought Igor Tudor into the team, I don't know if it was just the first game bounce, but put it like this. Someone summed it up perfectly on Twitter. You're not going to Verona at that old 30,000 seat rubble of a stadium as the Stadio Antonio Bentegodi is, and you're not winning when it's raining. It is chaos. It was a chaotic game. It was open, and the Roma really struggled defensively. The goal that Hellas Verona scored to win it was sensational. Marco Faraoni hit that brilliantly. And I think Roma really thrived against some of those teams with sort of how well they were playing going forward. They've got some options. Tammy and Eldor Shmurodov are fantastic players, and Lorenzo Pellegrini is having a great season. But defensively, I still have my worries. And Hellas Verona, look, it's a bit too early to say because it is only one game. And it is, we do see that bounce every single time, probably from a new coach. So yeah. They're a bit of a curious watch, as is Cagliari with Walter Mazzarri now. Like, that's just as exciting seeing him back in Serie A. So I think
what a throwback, that name. I haven't heard that name in many a year. I'm sort of that Star Wars meme at the moment. But Igor Tudor, I just got distracted during your explanation there because I looked him up now, and the last 10 years or so have not been kind to Igor Tudor's hairline. So gone is the glorious, luscious black locks. He looks a bit different these days.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I guess it's like 15 years ago now. Jeez, I'm really old, Nick. It's not good. All right, let's talk Premier League, and let's talk West Ham 1, Manchester United 2.
Oh, boy.
So much to talk about in this game. Jesse Lingard coming off the bench to go from villain to hero after losing a game in the Champions League single-handedly with a terrible back pass. He comes on with that determined look in his eyes against the club that gave him a lifeline on loan last season. And how does he repay them? Curls one into the top corner to win the game, but not before the late penalty miss. 4 minutes into stoppage time, a handball from Luke Shaw. Declan Rice is preparing to dispatch the spot kick. He kisses the ball for luck. He's lining it up, but what's this? David Moyes, out of nowhere, summons penalty specialist Mark Noble from the dugout and says, "Son, I know you haven't had a kick. I know I'm not picking you for the rest of the season. This is your moment." And it wasn't. It so wasn't. It was the first De Gea penalty save since the 2014-15 season.
Has he not learned from Gareth Southgate, from Antonio Conte at the Euros, with Simone Zaza, with Bukayo Saka, with Marcus Rashford? Well, not really Saka, sorry. Rashford and Jadon Sancho more so. Come on. I'm curious to hear your thoughts as well, Josh, on just that non-penalty call, down the other way, which very well should have been a pen for United, but a lot of people were saying it should have been. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo does himself any particular favours with the way he goes about trying to win these penalties. I mean, maybe it's just the manner of being an elite sportsman, that he sees the game a little bit ahead of everybody else, but he seems to be going down in advance of the challenge coming in. And I don't think that really sells the contact like he thinks it does. And especially when he's playing away from home and he doesn't have that Old Trafford-friendly crowd, the jeers are quite significant. I think he gets into his own head. He starts slapping the floor and, the whole rigmarole that we've seen 1,000 times with Ronaldo when something doesn't go his way. I didn't think it was a clear enough penalty to overturn, shall I say. But if it was given the first time, I would have said, fair enough, he's been tripped.
Yeah.
But he's going down ahead of the contact. I just don't like players doing that. It annoys me. Maybe that's a real, Stone Age take from yours truly. Maybe it's a bit of a Keys and Gray kind of opinion, but it's still one I hold.
Well, I mean, I'm curious to get your thoughts as a United fan, Josh, because the results are coming in the league so far. I guess it is glossing over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, tactical ineptitude and everything else. How have you sort of seen this opening block to the season? Because in bits, there has been some promise, but now that Ronaldo's in, what are your thoughts? Are there still sort of gaps that you're concerned about, especially in midfield?
Yes. I'm not sure what Donny van der Beek has to do to get a game. It's just not... He's just not a favourite of Solskjaer's, which is weird because Solskjaer is the manager who signed him. and allegedly convinced him to join the club with some spiel about his role. But he doesn't have a role. They brought Matic off the bench when they were chasing the game. And, albeit, Matic did make a forward pass and Lingard turned and found the top corner somehow. But I do feel as if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is being continually bailed out by individual performances as opposed to anything, structurally sound or cohesive actually coming together. I haven't been wholly impressed. I think there are certain ways in which this team can work with Ronaldo. And, he certainly gives them a lethal edge up front. He scored again. He seems to have some sort of hypnotic spell over opposition goalkeepers because literally every single one of his goals so far could have been saved. But McFred in midfield, I don't love it, especially the Fred part of that partnership. They need a replacement for him. They didn't sign one. They went, big and sexy up front with all the transfers. And it's not a position where there is an obvious answer because even if Van der Beek came in and all my prayers were answered, I don't think he would be totally comfortable playing as a 6. That's never been his position. He's more of an 8 or maybe even a number 10. He likes to play ahead of the ball and make runs off it as opposed to receiving the ball from the centre-back and trying to create from there. And McTominay, that's not really his role either. His strength is the amount of ground he covers in midfield, the pressing, the energy, the third man runs. That's Scott McTominay. So again, they need a midfield schemer / kind of anchor to sit in front of the defence, circulate possession, and not do anything stupid. And Fred, for all of his occasional moments of, competence, he does one or two things every game that just makes you put your head in your hands and go, what is this guy doing? And I don't think, despite the quality of the team improving around him, I don't think those mistakes are going to be corrected. Still think the right flank is a problem. I like Pogba playing off a flank and coming inside because it gives him more freedom and he doesn't have to do as much defending. Maybe if Sancho ends up playing a bigger role, he will have to move into the midfield too. I still don't think that's ideal, but the right flank with Greenwood trying to cut inside all the time narrows really, really harshly to a point because Wan-Bissaka offers no width on the right-hand side. And even if he does get up there, his crossing is worse than Adama Traore's running at 40 kilometers an hour. So that's a problem. They need a more natural right winger, I think, a more traditional right winger. And Jadon Sancho has played there a lot. And maybe he doesn't fit the bill as a chalk on the boots, kind of whip the ball in all the time, Antonio Valencia type. But he does offer a right-footed option. He can cross the ball. And when you've got Cristiano Ronaldo and his heading ability up front, you want crosses into the box. They're actually currency as opposed to, the David Moyes style lack of imagination. I shouldn't probably use David Moyes as a pejorative these days because his West Ham team are playing quite well. And they acquitted themselves. Yeah. But I'm thinking back to that Fulham game. Famous 120 crosses or whatever it was. There are certain issues, the right flank, the midfield, that doesn't quite add up to a title for me, but they're still scraping out wins, and I was very happy to see Jesse Lingard score and redeem himself in the way in which he did, because that mistake away at Young Boys had the potential to hang over his head for the rest of the season. Yeah, and very well probably would have ended up potentially in that just eventuating in a transfer in January to West Ham. I mean, look, it's probably more than likely. He didn't celebrate against a side he spent 6 months on loan at. Yeah, I honestly reckon that if we're being honest, I can see him ending up back there at some point. Like it makes, like, I know West Ham literally have that many 10s. Like they have so many of the same players now. They've signed Nikola Vlasic and haven't sold Lanzini, and they really need a striker. Like an actual, sort of focal point up top. And they had one, and he scored 4 goals in the Champions League the other day. So, look, I think with United, it'll be intriguing to see when we're getting towards, I'm having a look at their fixture around October, November, when they play the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham, Man City, Chelsea, and sort of come up against more. I mean, they've got Mikel Antonio coming back from suspension. Let's not forget. Absolutely. But I think with I'm talking about Manchester United, sorry, not really West Ham. But I think what'll be interesting with United is you talk about lack of crosses. And I haven't seen him play yet. And I know that this is Milan biased.
But is there a spot for Diogo Dalot at right back, Josh? Is he a chance? Or is he doomed?
Wan-Bissaka, they spent so much money on him. You know, he's an English player. There are a lot of reasons beyond football reasons to play him. And also, he's a great one-on-one defender. You know, his tackling is fantastic. He seems to always get a foot in somehow. You know, he kind of looks like a spider the way he kind of gets down low. And honestly, if you were playing like street football and the ball got stuck underneath a car, there's no one else you'd want other than Aaron Wan-Bissaka to fetch it for you, because he can just
get his leg under
slide that leg in there and get the ball cleanly every time. But as an attacking force from right back, he's very, very, very limited. So it just means that you can't rely on him to provide width in the same way as an Alexander-Arnold or a Reece James might do. You know, you just have to have width in the team, and he can be a stay-at-home right back because Luke Shaw gets forward all the time on the other flank. You know, you can have an asymmetrical team like that, and sometimes it can help the defense if, you know, there's three players staying back at all times. Maybe that could free up the midfield a bit more. You know, to play someone like Van der Beek or even shift Pogba back and have less defensive responsibility in the midfield, because you've always got a rest defense of the two centre-backs and Wan-Bissaka kind of tucking in. That's a way to change things. Obviously, it means on a counter-attack, one of the players always has to leave the defensive line, if you know what I mean. They can't all defend in the line. Otherwise... you know, you get one cut back to the top of the box and score. And you have to have some kind of division of labour there. So maybe it's Maguire who steps out, or Varane to attack a midfielder who's loose. But there are creative ways in which you can make that kind of asymmetrical lineup work. I'm not sure if Ole's the man to iron out those fine tweaks. That's all.
I thought about it before when you mentioned a midfielder that would be the most united midfield signing possible. And I remembered that Franck Kessie's out of contract and he hasn't signed a new deal yet. And even though he's not a player to come and receive the ball from midfield, he would be the most Manchester United signing possible in midfield.
He's just another McTominay. That's the problem.
Like, literally, he's a better Scott McTominay. That's the thing. So, but to be honest, I honestly wouldn't be surprised because he'd come for free. And it probably wouldn't be the worst signing if they got someone else next to him as well. As long as they don't touch Ismail Benacer, then we're okay. Just one more thing.
You don't think the sort of vampire squid of PSG might slurp up Franck Kessie as yet another interchangeable player in there?
It'll probably be some sort of bidding war, but I think PSG will just offer the cash and we'll just have to wait and see.
Sorry, comment from Victor Moses Lawns again. Yeah. Love that Twitch handle, by the way. He said, to be fair, Marky Noble, top 5 penalty taker in the last 20 years, 90% plus conversion rate, second only to Lewandowski. I'm sure he means by Lua. Well, I mean, if that's true, that's a fantastic record. I just thought it was just high comedy, the manner in which he came on. Like, how many of those penalties has he taken fresh off the bench when he's not had a kick before?
Yeah. I
don't know if he's ever come off the bench to take one like that before. I'd
love to see the score, like if there's a ratio of players that have come on in the late in the game and had to take a penalty with one of their first touches, and what it is, you know, if it's a score to miss ratio. But
it's probably not happened that much because we've only just had 5 subs introduced to football.
No.
So managers couldn't usually afford that substitution.
Yeah. But, you know, look, end of the day, I guess when you've got Mark Noble there and you've got one sub, I can understand the thinking behind saying, all right, he's got a great record, let's throw him on. And Mark Noble would have thrived. You know, he's the club legend.
Yeah.
He's the captain.
Is
he?
He's
he's a
legend of a very disappointing West Ham.
Yeah, but he's the furniture at West Ham.
He's kind of tragic hero, I think.
Yeah, he's like, you call it, you sort of, you get the horn out and you blow every time to try and raise him, you know, and you need to get him out there onto the field. So he's a bit of the spiritual leader, I guess. Just one thing I want to mention before we go, Josh, just a slight little sort of touch about a team that hasn't really been performing too well, but have started to get some results, and that's Arsenal. I'm not going to lie, Josh, 2 wins from 2, and Thomas Partey in the team has come in and changed things a little bit. I'm a little bit excited. I think there's something. There's something there.
Suddenly they've eked out a couple of 1-0 wins and you're all over them.
Against Norwich and Burnley. And they're playing Wimbledon on Thursday. It might be a 2-0 win. So who knows? It's progress.
Partey is definitely an upgrade. My problem is when Granit Xhaka comes back and Mikel Arteta just starts him straight away?
I would genuinely feel sick considering how much Thomas Partey
loves Granit Xhaka though.
I know,
he has an
but
inexplicable attachment to Granit Xhaka.
Yeah,
and Partey will probably play as well, but it will be the Xhaka Partey double pivot, which is less attractive.
Poor Odegaard or Smith Rowe will be forced to the bench, and Odegaard and Smith Rowe are thriving in this because they don't have to do anything defensively because Partey
he's
sweeps.
everywhere.
He sweeps, and it's just like, you kids go and enjoy. You kids go play. I'll do all the work. And it's great. So it works because, you know, you get Tierney up, you get Tommy Arthur up. I love it. But if Granit Xhaka gets thrusted in, then I'm probably going to lean more towards my doubts about Mikel Arteta just starting to rise that little bit more. But there's some green shoots, I must say. I think they got Tottenham this weekend. They beat Tottenham, and the lid's off. They might make top 10.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Arsenal Fan TV reaction to a Tottenham win, and it'll be, you know, Mikel in, Arteta in, the lid's off. It's our year. It's defo our year. After all the hysteria in the other direction. But Nick, it's time for us to go. Before we do, if you've stuck around this long in the show, you're probably interested in Thursday's programming. And at 5 o'clock, I'll be joined by George Danikian on the state of our football nation as always. But our special guest is going to be Sam Lewis, who you've seen in many publications, The Guardian, ESPN. She's got a big piece coming out for the ABC actually on Friday, because it's the 100th anniversary of the first ever women's match played in Australia, first official match, which was played in Queensland in 1921. So it's a big deal. 100 years of women. Well, I wish it was 100 consistent, continuous years of women's football, and we hadn't banned it for many, many years. But we'll get into that with Sam Lewis. She's also going to take us through a bit of a review of the Matildas versus Ireland game that's happening tomorrow morning that we looked into earlier in the show. And after that, we've got the return of If You Know Your History with Peter Eadie, who's going to be our guest with Paul Mavridis. Peter's a historian from Queensland, again looking into the women's football anniversary, very significant date, and he's done some, very detailed work on that. So looking forward to that episode of If You Know Your History as well. That's 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Thursday night. But that's all from myself and Nick Debano this evening, the verified Nick Debano. Should I refer to you as Nick Debano Tick every time I say your name? Yeah?
Yeah, sounds good. I like it. Blue Tick.
Thanks, Nick.
Blue Tick Nick.
Blue Tick Nick. That's it. Good night.